Hey guys, Ryan here. I think it's safe to say that last year I struck a chord with a video I made about the 5 reasons not to buy Soul of Chogokin Megazord. The argument on both sides was really passionate, so I think the only thing to do is to carry on. I mean, they have. Now I took a lot of flack last time for my reasoning, so today I'm going to try and make them as specific as possible. Here's 5 reasons not to buy Soul of Chogokin Dragonzord. Number 5, the price. There's no denying it, it's very expensive for what it is. Currently it's sitting at around $193 before shipping on Amazon.com, the only place where I've seen it consistently in stock. Last night I had my Mega Dragonzord posed between the stand of my 4K TV and I thought, they cost me the same. Now I can just about afford to make this happen as a one-off, but it does require quite a bit of financial juggling. And I don't know how I'd feel about having to pony up for these guys annually. And I know most people's response to that is usually, well, if you can't afford to buy it, you shouldn't. But as a fan, that's incredibly difficult to hear, because you want to do whatever it takes to make it happen. I guess that's the issue with being a fanboy. It's a value judgment to a lot of people. You're looking at about £700 to complete the Soul of Chogokin Ultrazord, compared to, what was it, $300 for the Legacy Ultrazord, and back in the day only about £100 for the original 90s Ultrazord. Number 4, the materials. My heart sank a little when I got this thing out of the box for the first time. It isn't perfect, with little dings all over it. Tiny, almost imperceptible things, you'll never notice them on my Instagram posts, I'm sure. But when you buy something this expensive, you want it to be perfect out of the box on day one because you want it to last. You don't want to think that you're already starting with some frustrations and you're only going to add to them over time. The gold plating, while really nice, is obviously a worry. It's really easy to smudge with fingerprints and it's obviously the kind of material that will scratch quite easily. So that's an ongoing concern. It's a hefty burden to take on and I'm finding myself being very risk adverse with how I interact with it. I don't want to try and put it in any poses that are too crazy because I don't want to damage anything. Number 3, the quality. Okay, so these are very little things I've noticed and I'm sure some of these are going to be more of an issue to me than to you. Firstly, the eyes are not fully painted red. You can see a little gap where grey starts to seep in. Also, the hands for the Mega Dragonzord combination seem wrong. We've actually had different hands in all the combining versions of this toy, though I think the Legacy one actually got it the best. I don't know how to describe them, but the thumb missile being at such a right angle from the finger missiles just isn't right. It also looks strange that when you fold the arms and hands in, they're packed so tightly on one side of the shoulder joint. Thirdly, the hips don't join flush when connected. There's an ugly gap which just won't close. I think that's a real genuine error and I've seen people's pictures online with the exact same problem. I think it's very unusual given how precisely crafted the Soul of Chogokin Zords have all been up until now. Fourth, the codpiece at the end of the chest plate is raised slightly from the hips and won't sit flush, so you're constantly having to decide what angle to position it at. Fifth, very occasionally the arm plates seem to pop off the peg. So they secure onto the sides of the Dragonzord using these little push tabs, but it probably would have been better just to have used an actual clip. 6. The chest piece that contains the die-cast staff stand doesn't actually have a clip to secure it. So although I do think it's a brilliant idea, there's nothing to hold it steady, so it's quite buckety. If it's in the Dragonzord's hand it's fine, but it does feel like this is something they missed. Oh, and lastly, for both of its combination modes, the feet now swing up and kind of latch into place, which is a great solution to the problem a lot of people have with the Legacy Dragonzord, where the feet would just fall back down. But there's actually no way to unlock them, so you just have to gently pull them back down and they'll unlatch. Something about that feels like it's missing some ingenuity, and I feel like over time that might destabilise the mechanism. Speculative, sure, but not a baseless concern. And if you think about how wobbly the right arm on most people's Mastodons has gone, there is probably going to be something in this toy that degrades more quickly than the rest of it, and my bets, unfortunately, are on that. Number 2, missed opportunities. When I first saw that there were going to be 2 versions of the staff included with this one, I thought, okay, interesting, they're clearly responding to the fact that they can't physically make it shrink For screen accuracy's sake, I really like that, and we've definitely not had it before. But when I saw that there were going to be 2 sets of hands again, I groaned. I feel like they solved this much better in the Megazord. They gave it posable thumbs and fingers. Why couldn't they have done it again here? That also might have helped one of my previous points about the Mega Dragonzord thumb being the wrong angle in the combination mode. I don't like having to switch them, it's really fiddly, you feel like you're going to break it. It took me like 3 minutes earlier just to swap the hands round. It's more parts to have to look after, and if I'm honest, they're going to live exactly where the hands for my Legacy Dragonzord live, in the box. Also, the way the staff works in the more screen accurate mode is to actually remove 2 links of the tail and just set them aside. It's something else to have to consider, look after, and put somewhere else. Now, I can't think of a better way to do this, there probably isn't one, and it's great that they gave us the option, but I would have preferred it if they hadn't changed the connection methods for the 2 staffs, because then you could have kept the whole tail intact and used the bigger staff if you wanted to. How they've customised the tail and the staff are really great improvements. But there's far less wow here than there was with the Soul of Chogokin Megazord. And it unfortunately looks like Soul of Chogokin Titanus is going to carry on in that style. The problem is, we were kind of spoiled by the legacy versions of those 2, so in a way, we've seen it all before. There's a lot less posability than the Megazord overall, I know, that's because Dragonzord is such a brick, but I was still expecting them to surprise us with something, and I just don't think it's there. You just can't get it in a very dynamic pose. And this one, to be fair, is more on Soul of Chogokin Megazord, but once you combine into Mega Dragonzord mode, that elbow articulation is lost, being blocked by the big M shoulder pads. Which is actually beginning to fulfill my point from the Megazord video, that once you have all 3 of these things, other than being much nicer materials, it's going to resemble the exact same brick that we had in the Legacy version. Just with, a few more bells and whistles on, though still without any electronics or motorized wheels. I'm looking at you, 90s. And my top reason to not buy Soul of Chogokin Dragonzord, number 1, no fun. I'm going to get a lot of stick for this one. But I think it's true, and it's a consequence of all the reasons I've already listed. I just don't know if this is as fun to pose as Legacy Dragonzord was. Now fair enough, that was no fun at all when trying to combine into Mega Dragonzord mode, but the base and the warrior modes were totally fine. When I'm manipulating this one, I'm just scared of scuffing every part. I want to keep it looking perfect for as long as possible. But that means it's not something you could just rush your way through like say you would an Astro Megazord. Then there's also the aspect that if you don't already have Soul of Chogokin Megazord, not a lot you can do with this guy, you just get one mode out of it. If you're buying this solely to relive your childhood toy, I don't think this is the way to do it. I think this is really just for serious collectors who want an extremely screen accurate representation of something they used to watch on TV. So in sum, this is a very expensive collector's item to take pictures of. How you get from one photo to the next is very slowly and very carefully. And is that fun? I don't think so. So there's my reasons not to buy Soul of Chogokin Dragonzord. I do feel really bad wailing on this guy, and so just like last time, I've also taken the other side of the debate in my other video, 5 reasons why you should buy it. I'm looking forward to and slightly dreading your comments on this one. Let me know if you think these reasons stand for you. I'm hoping that none of them are invalidated in a year's time. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far. I also announce all my videos on my Instagram at PowerRangergram, so there's some other content on there you might want to check out. So now then, if you need a bit more encouragement before you put some money down on your Soul of Chogokin Dragonzord, why not switch over to the 5 reasons why you should buy it? I'm assuming of course that you started with this one, you pessimist. Until next time, I'll see you later.